Welcome to another live stream from the Three Girls in Love channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we're going to talk about this video that I was sent, and it's called, let's see, what's his name again? Alright, Kev Hick talks guys with girls. And the video is 6 ways guys test women. So, let's check it out. Never heard of this guy before. Seems like a nice guy. Let's test it. Hold on, seems like he has his face on the left side, so let's try the right side today. Let's go.
What's good, YouTube? This video is going to be about 6 ways that guys test women to see if they have power over them or leverage. So if you haven't, please go check out my Kev Hick Talks live channel. On there I talk about a bunch of life topics that affect everybody. Ideas that we all have to at some point reconcile within ourselves. So please go check that channel out. I think you'll get a lot from it. Now, I want to preface this by saying that any guy who's actually testing you in these ways with the intent to try to gain leverage probably can't be trusted with that leverage in the first place. But again, not every guy has that intention. Sometimes I talk to women who experience such overtly rebellious behavior from guys, they just be thinking to themselves, what the hell is he thinking? Is this a test? Is he serious? He must be testing me. They usually tell me though, like, Kevin, you wouldn't believe what he did, but don't worry though, I played it cool. And then I ask them why. They say, why what? I say, why'd you play it cool? Letting shit slide will only lead to more undesirable behavior. Either correct him or make an exit, but don't play it cool. They say, well, I didn't want to show that it bothered me or come off emotional. Listen, ladies, you don't have to be emotional to correct a man. Say what you have to say in a low voice with a straight face, and then let the awkward silence ring like a siren. You can show you're serious without raising your voice or spilling feelings all over the place. So again, either correct them or confront them or move on from them. But don't play it cool. Don't endure undesirable behaviors in order to impress them. You'll be doing it forever. So with that said, in no particular order, let's get into the first test. Number 1, they say rude or critical things to see if you stand up for yourself or correct them. If you don't appear to have a temper or you just laugh off every insensitive or inappropriate comment that he makes, you're showing him that you're willing to endure anything to be in his company, and that you like him way too much to show your anger. A man who's insulting or rude from the very beginning may be trying to acclimate you to light verbal abuse and manipulation. A man who chooses not to watch his tongue or has no control over his mouth has to see if you're compatible with his abrasive methods of communication. Don't go for it, or it will become the culture of your relationship, if you get that far. A man also knows that if a woman lets him talk down to her, then she likes him way too much to stop his sexual advances. So moving on, the second thing that guys do to test.
So, first of all, I mean, this guy, he's talking to women, giving them advice of what they should do if if the guy is doing this and that and the other. So, you gotta understand though that for women to try to get advice from a man on the dating aspect of things, I mean, he's got 200,000 subscribers, which is awesome. It's amazing. It's way more than I have. But we gotta understand that women will react the way that they react no matter what. Like, it's not like you, uh, if you're gonna try and control yourself by doing the things that he tells you to do on this video, like, eventually you're not gonna be able to control yourself, and you're gonna be doing the things that your emotions are telling you to do no matter what. You're not gonna be able to control yourself. So basically, he's talking in the first one, he's talking about how you should not allow yourself to be to be verbally abused, and you should not play it cool. You should just either stick with it or move, right? But uh or like, for me, that's kind of like, why do you have an abuser in the first place? Why are you dating a guy that's not good for you in the first place? Like, he's talking about dating. On my channel, like, we don't talk about dating because it's not what you're supposed to do, in my opinion. That's a very bad strategy in order for you to get the man that you want for the long term. Now, people will say, well, how am I going to get a guy if I'm not dating at all? Well, the fact is, in Three Girls in Love Society, which is in the long term, okay, like, it's not going to happen within the next at least 200 years, probably. This is the very beginning of the movement. And in 200 years, let's say, as an example, it takes that long. In the Three Girls in Love Society, there won't be any dating. Like, that's going to be ridiculous. There's going to be 3 women or 3 girls who've grown up together, and then they desire to get hitched with the man of high value, and their fathers, okay, collectively have been on the lookout for years, okay, to find one guy for all three of those daughters that they have, okay? So three fathers are going to be on the lookout for a man of high value, and they're going to have a list of selections that they would recommend for their girls. And they're going to agree on which men actually manage to go on that list. And then they're going to give that list over to the women so that the women can choose for themselves who they want. Okay? Now, those three fathers, if they're wise, which you would want, like in Three Girls in Love Society, you'll get fathers who have a lot of respect, a lot of, they have a desire for your happiness as a daughter. So they're never, ever going to put someone on that list who won't qualify. Now, if it's just one father and he decides over your life, then it's a bit more, scary. But you've got three men of high value who are selecting a man of high value for you. So the stamp of approval is way better than if you allow your emotions to do the selection process for you. Does that make sense? So, I don't believe in dating. Dating sucks, and it's not very good. I recommend in the long term that we actually have that system in place where fathers create that massive list. And if fathers are not going to be the respectful ones and the ones that actually take care of you, and they don't care about who you choose and who you get emotionally involved with, then you've got to find other men of high value who are way older than you to find a selection process for you and your two best friends. Does that make sense? So, either that would be maybe the men of high value council or whatever. There's going to be a system like that over time. But for now, what do? The men of high value is, society is not set up. Three Girls in Love Society is not set up. What do? You definitely do not date. Okay? That voluntary celibacy is what I recommend. Okay? Staying away from men as much as possible romantically. You're not gonna be able to help yourself probably, but that's what I'm telling you. Like if you were to follow this counsel on this channel, that's what I would recommend. To the point of, until you have a selection list, a list of possible selections for your Three Girls in Love union. Okay, so you'll have you and then your two best friends, and then you will be coming to the men of high value system and say, we desire a man of high value. Well, these are the guys, and these are their qualifications, and this is what we expect of them, and they've had a proven track record of the things that we've told you that, of who they are. Now that they can select men of high value based upon what they feel from this long list of potential suitors, but there's security in the fact that they will never have a guy who abuses them. They will never have a guy who's rude or mean. They'll have a guy who's confident, but who's also respectful and committed to your happiness and to your emotional fulfillment. That's what the Men of High Value movement is all about. There's no man that qualifies to be on that potential suitor list unless he's gone through a massive vetting process over a long extended period of time. This is why we have 0 men of high value available for you at this moment in time, because no one qualifies. If you go to the Men of High Value channel, you'll find that most guys on there suck. And I agree, okay? And I would never recommend any of them, even the clients I've had for several months, okay? I would not recommend you as a woman to date them. No, don't do it. They suck, okay? But they are going through the fire as we speak. They are motivated by Three Girls in Love like never before, okay? Like, if you want to motivate someone, I'm going to make a whole new video on that at some point. I always say this, but about motivation. What motivates men? The guys that are being coached by me right now are massively motivated to become men of high value and to apply the principles that need to be applied in order for them to retain 3 women. and make them emotionally fulfilled. So over time, we will have more and more and more and more guys qualify, so you have a long list of potential suitors. But right now, that's not the case. So what do I recommend? Next 18 months to next 3 years, stay voluntary celibate. Okay? Because then you're staying safe from massive rejection from being with the guy who's not good for you. Number 2.
Test you is they don't text back or they go missing to see how you respond. Abandonment is generally indicative of someone's indifference toward you, but sometimes it's strategic. Sometimes your reaction or your obvious relief after not hearing from a guy when he contacts you tells him all he needs to know about who's holding the cards. Many women panic or they get frustrated or they send a barrage of text messages when they haven't heard from a guy or they think they've been fired from the relationship. The power to piss a woman off in the first place has always been used as an indicator of attachment for men. The fears of additional and future abandonments make some women much easier to control from that point. They then make themselves fun and convenient in order to keep a guy interested. They break their own rules because they felt his rejection before and they didn't like it. Some would do anything to close the gap. Anything. Don't be that girl. Moving on, the third sign a guy may.
So I agree with him that if a guy is trying to play you by basically, trying to abandon you and go cold for like a week or something like that, then the best thing would be to to not expect that and to set boundaries for yourself, if you were in the dating process. So he's right on these points. They're really good suggestions for those that do date. However, like, you don't want to be around any guy who goes through this dating process with you. Like, you're putting yourself up for so much potential rejection. And we've got a problem because the moment a guy rejects you, that will lower your self-worth. But you'll be like, no, I'm worth more than this. And then you'll be like, so I'm going to reject him. And then you're going to move on. But the fact of the matter is that he rejected you first. So you still look at him as man of high value. This is what's kind of the dual nature of women, is that they deem other guys that are douchebags, okay, that are bad guys, as men of high value because they're not able to not care. Okay, so as a woman, if a guy treats you badly, it actually makes it so that you feel that he has power over you, and power over you makes your brain. This is not your rational brain. This is your emotional brain, if you want to call it that. Emotional logic is that, oh, he's higher value than me. That's why I am drawn towards him. Why? Like, you'll find yourself sometimes, maybe, you look back through your past relationships or past dating, you'll find that when a guy is disrespectful and he's kind of rude, but in the sense that you kind of want to be with him still because he's high value in so many other aspects, you'll be like, but I want to be with him anyway. This is you desiring to be with someone who has higher value than you have. But he doesn't have higher value than you have, rationally, right? Like, we both agree that he should not be allowed to do those things to you, and you should be able to let go and move on. But as a woman, you're not able to let go. So from the fact that you've already been involved with him, that involvement with that guy who rejected you is going to affect your self-worth in such a way that you're not going to be able to let go of him forever. Okay? Unless you now manage somehow to get into the now with someone else, or with drugs, or with stimulants, or whatever else you're going into. Do you understand what I mean? This is the curse and the blessing of women. In the sense of the curse is that when you involve yourself with other men who treat you like, you should not be treated, they will be high value, which will cause you to desire to be with them automatically. This is why you are attracted by bad boys or attracted by guys that are bad for you. And this happens very often early on in your teenage years, in your early 20s, to the point where you do not accept it anymore and you set up the boundaries and you're now masculine in your approach to dating. So now you basically begin to become attracted. The more you go through this rejection aspect, you're now beginning to become more and more attracted to femininity in men. So femininity in men in the sense that they're always respectful of you, they're very trustworthy, and they do nice things for you, and they do that and da 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 da. This is normal, but at the same time, as you want that from a guy because those other douchebags and those guys didn't do that to you, and they should have, you are not attracted to these nice guys because they put you up on a pedestal, right? Like they're nice guys and they submit and they look up to you and they want to be with you and they're not rude to you, so you always have, the power in the relationship. Like the moment you feel not happy about something, you'll tell your partner or the guy that you're with, the guy that you're dating, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, of course, I'm gonna fix that and I'm gonna do that." That's monogamy for you. You're going to be the one who has the power and you're going to lose interest all of the time. Do you understand what I mean? So it's kind of like monogamy causes women to be drawn towards the bad boys and then for them to eventually be drawn towards the good boys but still be attracted only to the bad boys. Like, do you understand how this works? It's the dual nature of femininity that you can't. It's hypergamy, and you want someone who seems to have higher value than you because of your emotions. Those bad boys are not higher value than you. They just know how to make you feel worse about yourself so that they feel better about themselves so that you feel that they are high value, but they're not. Does that make sense? This is why monogamy does not work. That's the only reason, really. The biggest reason. Because you always want a confident guy, but then you also want the committed guy. But those are oxymorons, okay? They're opposite of each other in monogamy. Because the more committed a guy is, the more submissive he's going to be to you. The less he's going to have other options, which means that the less confident he's going to be in your presence. Because he's going to want you to be happy. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to have peace, and he wants you to have passion. He's not going to be able to help you to have passion, but the nice guy might be able to help you to have peace. And eventually, once you've gone through all the hardships of relationships with bad boys in your teenage years and in your 20s, then you come to your 30s and now you just want peace. Because you've gone through all the passion years and all the crap that the bad boys have done to you. So now you just want the good boys because now you at least have peace. But guess what? You don't have peace if you're not attracted to your guy, right? What's going to happen inside your body? Oh, I feel something's missing. Oh, I need someone. I need someone else. Like, you suck. But I also want to, have depth and I love you as a friend and I want to be in a relationship with you and in a family with you, and I committed and promised that I was going to be there for life and I want to do this for the kids and blah, 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 blah. But inside your brain, you're like, I just want to F that guy in my office, my boss, blah, blah, blah. Do you understand what I mean? This is what's going on in women's brains, and that is because the woman is burdened. She's masculine. And guess who made her masculine? The guy that she's with. But it wasn't really his fault. It was all of the home wreckers in your teenage years and in your 20s who were the bad guys who made you lose your self-worth and made you feel that you could only get that kind of guy and that there are no good men. Like, where are all the good men? They're gone. You're past 30. You're past your prime, right? But no one protected you in your teenage years and in your 20s. You should have had a father who protected you. But in these feminism days, fathers don't. Because the more feminine they are, the more they allow their woman and their daughters to do whatever they want. Right? In a Three Girls and Love society, fathers will be protective. Not necessarily overprotective, but maybe they will. But maybe that's a good thing until you find the right guy. Why would you want to be emotionally involved with someone who's going to screw you over and cause you to lose your self-worth, okay, for the long term, unless you end up finding a guy that's better than the guy that you found in your teenage years and in your 20s. But the likelihood that you will is is exponentially declining the older and the more sexual experience you get, right? That's why it's crucial that you have a father that protects you, if that makes sense. So again, I'm stating, don't date, be voluntary celibate, because you're ruining your life, literally. Because the more burdened you're going to be from your past, your teenage years, your 20s, when you've been sleeping around, and then you come to your 30s, like, the more masculine you will have become, because you will have gone through tons of guys that have treated you the wrong way. And what's happening in society today is that because of YouTube, because of the internet, and because of the player movement, the seduction manosphere, red pill, whatever you want to call it, it's very bad, but it works. And guys use it to their advantage, and then they don't understand female nature and what they're doing to their future, to the future relationships of those women, okay? The men don't know. Because very very often they just basically look out for number one because they're selfish, right? So they only think about themselves. Have you noticed that men are stupid? Okay? Women are crazy because of their intense emotions. That's what men say. And then women say that men are stupid because they're slow. And the reason why they're slow is because they only think about themselves and they don't think about other people and how things are affecting other people. Guess what? Men when they're feminine in their teenage years and in their 20s, that's very often who you meet, right? Also in their 30s these days, men are going to come in, sleep with you, and then, think that you are like a man, that you can simply move on the same way that he can simply move on. But you're not designed and wired that way. You'll have the loose end of him, okay? Even that one night stand who you seem like you deemed him to be high value, and he's now a loose end in your life. Something that is emotional baggage that you trot with yourself throughout your entire life. It sucks. It really sucks to be a woman sometimes, and this is why it's crucial that you're protected, that you don't go through this dating process, and that you remain voluntary celibate and prepare yourself as much as possible to be the high value woman that you want to be for your man of high value. So let's move on to number 3.
Maybe testing you to see how much leverage he has over you is. They try to order you around or make you do things. Telling a woman what to do is an easy way to measure her eagerness to please. Women actually do this with guys as well. When a man is granted authority by you that he didn't earn, he knows that he's the prize in the relationship. And he knows that you're willing to chase him. Some guys start treating their women like cadets or new fraternity pledges just to see how well she follows orders. If a man seems to be barking at you or finessing orders to you early in the dating phase, he's trying to test your ability to be ruled over or controlled. Other times, a guy just wants an easy sex toy assistant of sorts. You know, a woman who does favors at his request, sexual and otherwise. If you get tested in this way, it's best to just fail the damn test. You're looking for love.
Okay, now I'm gonna be totally disagreeing with this guy. It seems to me that uh, he's talking to masculine women because feminine women will actually always comply. This is part of I'll explain what I mean by that. This is not a bad thing, okay? This is a man of high value who has shown, who has proven his his amazingness and his trustworthiness, and the fact that he goes out there and provides for you luxuriously so that you don't have to provide for yourself. He protects you. He does all of the things that he does for you. He slaves away for the 3 girls in love. Why would you not want to serve him naturally? In monogamy, obviously, then you'll want things to be equal and you don't want him to tell you what to do because, like, What, you want me to go and make you a sandwich? Who do you think you are? Like, that's feminism. That's masculinity in women. Basically, women, you know, like, why would you not want to do stuff for your man if you love him and you want to, progress his cause? Like, what he's talking about is love. Like, I don't know if he understands how men think. Like, because from a man's perspective, this is my understanding of it. It's kind of funny me commenting on another man explaining this, but like, it's normal for a girl to do what a man wants her to do, as long as it's respectful and honorable, right? There's I mean, if he asks in disrespectful ways and he's rude and he's, does things like that, then of course walk away, don't comply. Don't follow him around, because then he's basically being a man of low value, because he doesn't a man of high value will cause you to naturally want to do things that he wants you to do, because it's a win-win situation. A man of low value will just ask you to do things like rudely, right? For a guy, even in the seduction community, even amongst players, that's what they do. It's called compliance. Is like the guy is looking to see if the woman actually is feminine, if she's actually submissive, if she's actually flexible. Because the more he finds out that she's like, no, no, I don't take orders from you at all. What are you saying? You know what I mean? It's like the more the woman has boundaries, the more past she has. Like, it's basically the same as the tattoo. Like, if a man sees you having a tattoo, he's like, she has negative sexual experiences in her emotional baggage. Men see it like this. You got a tattoo? I know that you've been hurt in the past. You've been, you've been penetrated with the needle. You've been penetrated by other guys who basically used you and abused you. So, it's maybe wise for me not to be with you. Does that make sense? Like, it's harsh, but that's the reality of life, that men of high value want you to be clean, you to be pure, want you preferably to be a virgin. That's what men of high value want. So, just from that standpoint, I don't really agree with this guy. He's talking in this regard to masculine women, and in feminism, saying that don't comply to a guy, like, don't do what he asks you to do, like, rah, 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 you boss him around. Like, I don't know, didn't make any sense to me.
Not a job. And he's looking for an employee. So, with that said, the fourth sign that a guy may be trying to test his leverage over you is
I don't know, he's looking for an employee. A man of high value makes sure he creates win-win situations with everyone around him. Okay, so the employee remark, like, when a woman is in love, then the man loves her back, and he will do that automatically. He will love her more when she complies, right? When she does what he wants her to do. So that will create reciprocated love, and that would just make sense. It's a win-win situation. Like, those you serve will love you back, especially if he's a man of high value, because then you do things for him, he's gonna want to do things for you. So it's mutual love. Like, what is he talking about? Anyway, moving on.
they invite you to their house instead of a real date for the first date, or they always try to make you come to them. I've spoken to far too many women who spent their first date with the guy they met from Tinder on some couch. When I speak to them about the men they're seeing, many of them have gotten off to a really bad start. I say, how many dates have you been on? They be like 3 or 4. I be like, tell me about them. How were they? They be like, well, he just asked me to come over to his house and we just hung out most of the time. I be like, every time? They be like, yeah. So I say, he just tells you to come over and you just do it. And they say, yeah. Has he ever made any effort on a date? And they say, no. He hasn't even wasted a quarter tank of gas on these dates. I say, you do this even though he's done nothing to show you a good time other than pull his pants down.
So, anyway, hold
My
on.
name is Champagne Zhao. I'm the CEO of
Finish this
Binance.
ad. Probably cut this out. So, just a quick remark on this thing. Men, they're only after one thing. You know that, right? It's sex. Like they just want to be with you for that very often. Okay? The more feminine they are, the more they just want that. The more masculine they are, the more they want to have a family with you. The more they want long-term stability, consistency, commitment over the long run. A man of high value will not want to get into your pants immediately. You can know for a fact he's a man of low value if he desires it. However, the dual femininity of women is that they desire the man to get into her pants. Like, if she's feminine, the more masculine she is, the more she's distrusting, the more she's not sure, does he actually like me that way? Is he a potential long-term suitor? And she's gonna be skeptical, distrusting because of her past experiences, because of the past environment that she was in. Okay, but when a woman is feminine, he's talking now about feminine women. What do? They are automatically trusting. They're like, oh, he asks for me to come over. I kind of like him, so I'll come over. And then they come over for a few times, and obviously the guy only wants sex. And so the woman kind of like, and she likes him, and so she thinks that if I do this for him, then maybe he'll love me back. No, no. So I agree with him in the sense of, uh, like, that's male nature. That's the only thing they want from you if they're feminine, very often. They might want a long-term relationship, but they don't want to put in any effort. Very often, that's masculine, believe it or not. But it's warped because they just want to get into your pants and they don't want to provide for you. They don't want to protect you and your emotions, obviously, because they just want to get inside your pants. And they don't really think about the long-term perspective. Low value, feminine men who are your age, teenage boys and in their 20s. And this guy's saying, why are you doing that? Like, why are you going to their house and doing what they ask you to do? They're feminine. They'll do it, okay? But now they're beginning to see that, oh, he only wanted to do that. That's bad. Okay, so I need to protect myself from men. No, you need to protect yourself from feminine men, okay? Who are hybrids, who are emotionally unstable, and who are not able to control their thoughts, their emotions and their behaviors. And so they only seek for immediate gratification from you and don't really care about your long-term perspective. A man of high value will always think long-term in everything that he does, especially his sexual relationships, because he'll know what that does to you to be with you and then to leave you behind. And men of high value have that card, okay? But men of high value don't use that card because they're men of high value, if that makes sense. So again, he's talking about dating. Dating is a waste of time because you're allowing your emotions to trust men who are feminine, and then you are hurt by the results. Men suck when they haven't progressed on their journey towards masculinity, and they don't have a purpose that's greater than being with girls.
And he's gone through no trouble to court you properly. And they say, yeah. From that point, in so many words, I go on to tell them that they should probably stop letting him treat them like some kind of pussy delivery girl. Again, this is often a test of leverage and control, and it's an effort to acclimate you to his minimal effort. So again, don't be that girl. So with that said, the fifth sign.
In Three Girls in Love, believe it or not though, men would be out and about all the time working and creating tons of money. Okay, that's what we do as men of high value. We establish businesses. We have a purpose to make the world a better place. The way you make the world a better place as a man is to find solutions for millions of people. When you find solutions for millions of people, you get paid by millions of people. When you get paid by millions of people, you've got a lot of cash in order for you to provide and to protect for your women and for your children. That's what men of high value do. Naturally, we gravitate towards power. We gravitate towards money. We'll do that if we're motivated to do so. However, you'll find that men are not very motivated to become rich the more feminine they are. The more masculine they are, the more they're motivated to do so. So once you know you're with the man of high value and he actually fulfills that responsibility, a man's responsibility of doing that, then him coming home he will do minimal effort in every single other area of life. That's masculine. However, once done in the dating process, it's warped. It's bad, right? But in a long-term committed relationship for life, where you have the assistance of your two best friends forever to basically, please your man of high value and reward him for his behavior so that he's motivated to keep going out there and bring more and bring more and exponentially fulfill all of your emotions and also spend time with you when you guys want it, right? He'll do minimal effort. Okay? Men don't want to plan dates. They might do once in a while, but they'd rather not. Men want to come home, and when they come home, they just want to sit on the couch and relax because they've been out there and been rejected all day long. They've been to war. Now they want to come home and dress their wounds, and preferably they'd like to have 3 women, best friends forever, who have harmony amongst each other and harmony in the home, to have capacity to adore him for the service that he rendered out there. Now he's come home, male nature is to do minimal amount of effort when he comes home. That's how we think. That's how we're designed by nature. It's a good thing because men need to rest as well, right? In monogamy, men get tons of rejection out there, and then their life sucks out there, and then they come home, and then they get tons of rejection at home as well. And then they lose motivation, they lose capacity, they lose interest in taking care of their bodies and doing the things that women like and enjoy. And then they don't even want to help out with anything else, and they simply become fat and couch potatoes, watching movies and playing games and going on porn all of the time. And then your life as a woman sucks. Why did that happen? It's because of monogamy. Because he's not being rewarded for his efforts out there, right? But he wants a deep, long-term relationship with you in a family setting, but there's no motivation. He comes home, he gets nagged and rejected by you all day long, or all night long. He's already been massively rejected all day, so basically his life doesn't work. What do you think that does to his self-worth? Boom, 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 boom. Goes down. Once his self-worth is gone, then he's like, what's the point of me trying? What's the point of me trying to do all those things? What's the point of me trying to build a business? Because I'm going to fail anyway, because I suck. And then he's like, he has his inner bitch talking to him at the same time as he has you talking to him and yapping at him about him sucking. That's monogamy. In 3 Girls in Love, the man will be fired up outside his brain, motivated to go out there and create. And then he'll come home, and you 3 will be dressing his wounds and rewarding him for his all day long behavior. Minimal effort. That's us men. Minimal effort in your presence. Maximum, absolutely intense efforts out there. Guess for who? For him? He doesn't care about cash. Like, he cares about power. But if he comes home and he doesn't have power in the relationship, and he doesn't have power out there, like, if he comes home, like, there's no point for him to get power if he doesn't get the rewards of power. And so he won't go out there and do the things that you want him to do. Does that make sense? So, just explaining briefly that what he's talking about is warped guys that are feminine, but they've got masculinity. And they basically cause you to do stuff for them, and you basically feel low worth, and you get insecurity because he's supposedly a man of high value. He looks good, he has other options, and he can do basically whatever he wants, and he tells me what to do. Like, he's not afraid of losing me. Like, so he must be high value. But he sucks, okay? He's not trying to create a win-win situation. And if he is, he's trying to do it with the least amount of effort in all areas of his life. That's when you know you got a player, a guy who has no massive amounts of ambitions, and he's simply going about his life and he's happy. Men, on average, suck. You want to make sure that you are part of the men of high value community, in the sense that you can get a guy that's top 5% of the male population. Okay, again, don't go to the Men of High Value channel to find them, because they suck. The ones on Men of High Value channel, very often they're worse than the guys out there. because they've been attracted to my channel because they have problems with their business, with their lives, and with their addictions, and with but over time, if they improve 20% every single year, and those guys that are attractive, that are handsome, that are amazing out there who are not on my channel, they only progress 2% a year. Who do you think is going to be absolutely amazing in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years? Does that make sense? So I have the long-term perspective in this, and your goal should be to be with the guy who's both committed and confident, and the only way to get that is through 3 Girls in Love.
That a guy may be trying to test his leverage with you is they say something very explicit to gauge your reaction and your openness to sex. This one is super common. A guy may say something really inappropriate for your level of acquaintance. It's usually followed by a just kidding if you're in person or a playful emoji if he's texting you. Guys be thinking, I bet I can hit it. Let me say something nasty and see what she says. While you're trying to be cute and play it cool, he's trying to gauge what your required level of respect is. He's trying to see where your boundaries are. A non-response may give an idea of acceptance or positivity toward whatever just fell out of his mouth. It could even be taken as a quiet willingness to fulfill whatever explicit desire he just expressed. So if you don't react, you're bound to get another inappropriate comment. You just asked for one. So many women put on a brave face so they don't get seen as bitches who take themselves too seriously. But bitches get respect. If a man realizes that nothing is required to be inside of you, then nothing is what you'll get. If a man realizes that nothing is required to get inside of you, then nothing is what you'll get.
Exactly. That's one of the huge points that I want to also say to women is that men will want sex with you for minimal effort, less commitment, less anything. They don't want really to have to do much with you at all, preferably. Okay? They just want the sexual aspect and the adoration aspect. Like, or worship aspect. Some people say that anyway. Well, what I'm trying to explain is that this is how guys are wired, but they're feminine guys who are basically trying to get inside your pants immediately. You can know for a fact that if they're doing what he's telling you, or what, like in this number 5, yes, as a guy who's like, girls like it when men are bold, okay, because it shows that they're not afraid to lose you. However, women also want men who desire them for the long term and who are respectful when it comes to that, but at the same time who's bold and who, checks the boundaries. But it doesn't, that's why dating doesn't work very well. And we've got to try and figure out, we got to try and make sure that dating doesn't happen. Okay, dating sucks. So that's my take on the thing. Let me go on to the next subject. And let's see. Yeah.
If a man realizes that nothing is required to get inside of you, then nothing is what you'll get. Moving on, the 6th sign that a guy may be testing you for leverage is they ask you for pictures or they send pictures of a particular nature. When the guy asks you for a picture, the type of picture you send will be seen as an indicator for your level of attraction or eagerness to date him or impress him. It will help him gauge your level of sexual attraction or your level of conservatism and or your intent to take things slow. A picture could say anything from, sir, you're going to have to wait, to, it's going down as soon as possible. The effort that you put into taking that picture, in some cases, telegraphs your level of interest.
Okay, you got to understand this one, that the faster you show sexual desire towards a man, the lower value he'll have in his eyes. So the faster you desire sexual gratification from him, the lower value you will have in his eyes. Okay? He might want to sleep around with you because he doesn't have anyone else right now, so why not with you? But that's basically using you as an object for him to become immediately gratified, and then he moves on from there if he didn't, if he has other options that are better than you. And most of the time, if you are massively eager to be with him sexually, most of the time he does have options. You don't want to be with the guy who has options and combined with desire for him to be with the woman, even though he looks as her as low value. Does that make sense? So you want to be with the guy who respects you so much that he looks at you as high value that he wouldn't want to lower your standard or push your boundaries towards him having sex with you prematurely. Because the moment he does that, then he'll lose that amount of motivation to impress you. Like, a guy wants to massively impress women and get to the point where he achieves like huge things for you because he hasn't gotten the cookie yet, right? Like, what's his name? Steve Harvey says, okay? So that's what I'm trying to say, is that you want to keep it in your pants for as long as possible, okay? In the relationship. Do not give it out ever to anyone except your lifelong committed partner for life. That's what I recommend. Why? Because the moment you allow anyone who is not your lifelong committed partner, or who doesn't become your lifelong committed partner, and the probability that the next guy you meet will not be that guy is exponentially high, that means that you're going to have a lower value every single time in the man's eyes if you have sex with someone else. So every notch count, every time you have sex with someone else, you get lower, 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 lower value in his eyes. That's the biggest thing that depicts whether a guy has respect for you or not. If you're a virgin, boom, you're high value, right? But don't lie about that stuff. Like, that's because you'll eventually figure it out long term anyway, right? Like, if you want to be in a long term committed relationship with the high value man, you want him to know everything about you. You want him to know all of your secrets, because that's the only way that a 3 girls in love relationship is going to work long term. However, like, if you want to be able to tell him the truth in the future, then stop sleeping around with any other men than him in the future. Like, does that make sense? So anyway.
That's why guys often say something like, give me a new picture. I want one that I just got. Don't give me one from Instagram. He wants to know exactly what you want him to think of you when you take that picture. Even good guys do this. Even nice guys will ask for a picture in the hope that you put a certain amount of effort into it so they can see if the feelings are mutual.
All guys who ask for pictures from you suck. All of them. You may know for a fact that he's a man of low value if he asks for pictures. And you know what kind of pictures they are. Don't do it. It lowers your value exponentially if you do that, both in the guys who receive the picture, but also the probability that you will be sleeping around if you do those kinds of things massively increases. Anyway, the whole point is, this is not your fault. This is low value men in society's fault, who are leading you, who were feminine in your teenage years and in your 20s, to do the things that they wanted you to do. Okay? And your father did not protect you none so ever. And because that happened, we've got society as we know it, where women are now massively burdened, massively depressed, massively using stimulants, massively sleeping around to try and fix their problems with the new guy, and it's not working out for them. And they're wondering why the relationships are struggling and why they can't find a good guy. This is why they can't find a good guy. It's not their fault. Okay? It is the fault of low value men who are somewhat masculine from their wiring, but they're feminine in the sense that they just simply want immediate gratification. You want a man who is a long-term perspective guy, who treats you with respect because he understands the female nature of women and would never want to be a homewrecker for your future relationships and your future family. So he does not sleep around with you. He only sleeps with those who are his lifelong committed partners for life in 3 Girls in Love. That's a man of high value. A guy who's been practicing voluntary celibacy and semen retention all the way up until he finds those 3. That's the kind of guy you want. Because then you know from trustworthiness, from a track record, that he takes his relationships with women very seriously. So let's see the last few minutes.
Another things guys do is, well, the creepiest of them will send dick pics to test your boundaries. Your response to them tells them how warm or loose you are with overt sexuality. If your response to such a picture shows no secrecy around your idea of sex, then they will ramp up that behavior. They will ramp up their aggressions. Overt sexuality expressed by a new guy is almost always a test, so choose your response wisely. Don't focus on trying to seem a certain way or trying not to offend him or look emotional. Your response to this has to be genuine, because how a man behaves in this realm of dating could lead to some trauma if fumbled. Sex is a serious topic, especially around a woman's discomfort toward it.
There will always be trauma if you have sex with low value guys. And I've already told you now what a low value guy is. So our goal is to help protect you, protect women, and especially protect kids. And the only way that we can protect that space is by protecting sexuality. That's why sex is sacred. That's why religion says that, oh, you shouldn't have sex outside of marriage. Some religions are beginning to say that, no, it's good, it's good. You should have sex with as many people as possible. But it doesn't make any sense whatsoever from that which works. And if you understand female nature, okay? Female nature is like the desire to do it and the desire to actually reproduce and to have, and it's not really the reproduction aspect. They're wired to seek for pleasure. Okay, that's femininity. And they want to get it as fast as possible because they need pleasure. Okay? But you combine that with guys that are their age and who are feminine because they haven't disciplined themselves and they haven't understood the woman because no one's taught them about the woman, then they're going to screw you over. And you get guys who sleep around with 100 women, 200 women, 1,000 women. How many women have they screwed over? How many women have wanted to be with him more, and then they're like, oh, he doesn't want me anymore. And then he's now wrecked future families. It's disgusting. It's horrible. But no one talks about this because they don't understand.
The level of expressed sexuality between two people dating should be agreed upon. The expression of overt sexuality, not just sex, should always be consensual. So with that said, make sure that you're intentful in setting your expectations for him. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Follow me at Kev Hick 20.
So, cool guy. He's doing his best, and he's basically talking about today's dating structures. And some things I agree with, some things I don't. In the sense of like, I think it's good. Like he's trying to help you and preserve you from players. So in many aspects, fantastic, job. But otherwise, I would say the best advice he could give you is to completely stay away from guys romantically and avoid all sexual relationships until you find the right guy. And get the assistance of other people to help you find the right guy and understand Three Girls in Love so that the right guy, like, that increases his high valueness, because a man of high value who's able to get 3 women and retain them, that's quite amazing in and of itself. And if he's actually applying the principles of Three Girls in Love, and he's been voluntary celibate himself, he's practicing semen retention as we speak, and he has no addictions whatsoever. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink coffee, he doesn't do anything that would cause him to lose control over his thoughts, his emotions, his behaviors, and he's out there, has massive ambitions to become not only a millionaire, but a multi-millionaire and a billionaire over time, because it's easy. It's easy when you understand the principles of life. It's easy when you understand that women, for men need to think this way, that I need to put women off for a period of time in order for me to focus on my purpose and achieving my dreams and goals so that I can have a Three Girls in Love family. That's what I teach on the Men of High Value channel. And that's what you want men to do. You want men to focus first and set everything up, a strong foundation, so that there's both confidence and commitment from the man of high value that you want. That's what we're trying to set up here. And this is the channel where we're going to do it. Three Girls in Love channel and the Men of High Value channel. We got to be patient with those guys, though. One small step at a time. But in the next 12 to 18 months, I think we're going to have some good results with the very few hand-selected guys, and you can be part of that journey if you desire. This is the 3 Girls in Love channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I'll see you in the next one.